And I'll just quickly click that. So what we have is a Momentum platform that we developed, and that's an AI platform that that has the functionality to ingest data from any type of data sources or multiple types of data sources and multiple types of data sources, and can ingest the data, allow to do transformation and develop machine learning and AI based application very rapidly, and be able to visualize the result on our visualization tool. So this is an end-to-end platform that does it all, right from the data ingestion all the way to the visualization. And it can also be utilized as data storage, a large scale data storage. So here's the platform which actually does super fast ETL over large volume of data, could be terabytes, petabyte, doesn't matter. Has AI and NLP algorithms built in. So in order to build AI and NLP based application, you don't need to write a single line of code. It also has streaming or IoT-based analytics. So we have IoT components, very secured IoT messages we can ingest and be able to analyze in real time. And of course, visualization that goes to the end. So very specific to healthcare domain, just to give the perspective that we have expertise in healthcare, we have put here that 4 US patents that we have in cognitive science in healthcare. Fast Company magazine rated one of the work that Acure did as basically top 10 most innovative big data healthcare analytics platform in the world in 2013. So we have done some real credible work. And just to give the perspective that the compliance and standard perspective, we have listed few of them just to actually give the perspective that we have deep understanding of healthcare standards, healthcare data format, healthcare data transmission protocol, and several other standards and compliance that are internationally used. Some of them are like HL7, CCD, and whatnot. These are some selected examples that we have that we built as use case in healthcare, have been used by customers. And one of them is rheumatoid arthritis-based medication prior authorization. That means these are expensive medication. So before a doctor prescribes medicine, the doctor has to actually get prior approval done from the insurance company before the doctor can prescribe the medicine. Otherwise, patient has to pay from his or her own pocket. So this is a very paperwork intensive, and a lot of back and forth paperwork is done. It takes somewhere around 16 hours per medication to get approved, and a lot of phone calls, paperwork, and all that. So what we did that we developed algorithm that predicts whether a request will be approved or approved and not approved, and what are the requirements or gaps that need to be fulfilled. So that's rheumatoid arthritis-based prior authorization, and this is actually a very quick screenshot that we added here. I know that there's no time there, but we have a full-fledged working demo as well. 30 days readmission prediction. So in the US and pretty much everywhere in the world, when patient goes to the hospital and patient is discharged, and if the patient has to go back to the hospital again within 30 days for whatever reason for the same problem, in several countries, insurance company actually penalizes the hospital. In the US, it's somewhere around 4.5% of the annual revenue that insurance company actually penalizes per incident. And that's actually a huge amount of money. So predicting whether a patient will be readmitted within 30 days is a very critical exercise that hospital has to do in the US at least. So we do that as well. Next thing is HCC optimization, in which case we all know that when we submit the claim to the insurance company, the services that a doctor provides need to be provided in the form of codes. And if they miss the code or just provide the services, but they put that information in textual and free text, those are called missed code or missed charges. We identify those and we actually optimize the charges. And that's something that we do as a HCC optimization to optimize, basically to identify missing charges and help them to actually identify what those missing charges are. This is yet another very interesting thing that we are doing right now with a group of 40 doctors, especially from the rheumatologist side. It's called comorbidity analysis, means existence of two or more disease in the patient causes a lot of complexity, and there are certain index or indices that are out there in the medical domain. So we actually calculate those indices and actually perform some analysis based on that. So we have a comorbidity analysis. This was one of my earlier work, and this is called parallel and distributed OCR, in which case, the old records in several countries, several places, they have been actually scanned and put that in the PDF format. Typically in PDF is just a wrapper around JPEG. So it's an image. When you scan, the document becomes image and you wrap around a PDF. Those documents are dead documents, but they are very important information. So we built a distributed OCR to do the optical character recognition on a large volume of data or documents, and that's distributed in parallel computation. So although the Momentum platform is a horizontal platform that fits in many needs in many industries, and it's purely industry agnostic. However, due to our experience and we identify certain critical needs in healthcare, we definitely have a focus in healthcare, although the platform is capable of doing a lot of other things. So what we have done for healthcare in Momentum platform. So in typical health enterprise, there will be a lot of structured documents in electronic health record or electronic medical record. There will be scanned documents of unstructured textual information, radiological images, billing and claims data, several EHR. In any hospital, there will be multiple EHR systems that the hospitals use and laboratory systems. So basically, for each one of these data types, in Momentum, we have built specialized parsers that can actually parse the data, and these data are very complex in nature and although there are standards, but they're very complex and very intricate knowledge is required to be able to parse these information. We have included those in Momentum platform. That means we can actually work with any hospital enterprise data that complies with international standard or even not, because unstructured documents may not. We will be able to actually take the data from those sources. We create actually data lake within Momentum, which is a distributed data hosting platform. And we apply AI and machine learning. And finally, we do the visualization. So this is actually the critical piece that are really very critical to understand in healthcare and work with healthcare data. So that's what we have. Some of the use cases, again, these are selected use cases. So we have developed prior authorization for a very specialized rheumatoid arthritis medication, especially the biologics. And we extended that algorithm for other specialized other services for prior authorization, such as labs, radiology, prescription, procedure, as well as consultation, because some specialist consultations also need to be pre-approved. So why we do this? Again, the problem in the US and pretty much every country that a physician spends 20 hours per week doing the pre-authorization work. That is half their full-time time. And this is very frustrating. This actually is unproductive, does not yield any extra income for the doctors or hospital. And this causes somewhere around $69 billion loss per year in the US, according to American Medical Association. We can probably find similar number in Singapore and any other country, but this is actually a huge problem everywhere. Now, how do we solve this problem? So our Momentum platform, with the algorithm that we have, has something called pre-auth predictor, which can take the data from EHR and claims data, apply machine learning, and it can actually score and predict whether a particular service will be authorized or not. If not, what are the gaps? This will help to reduce back and forth paperwork, reduce denials, and of course, improve the patient outcome or patient health outcome. So this solution is one. The second use case that we have here, financial risk analysis, which is basically every country has, and actually every country these days use something called ICD-9 or ICD-10 code. ICD-11 is also in, in development. ICD-10 is more popular pretty much every country, and this is WHO standard. So basically, DRG is disease or diagnosis related group. So basically, let's say, kidney and urinary tract infection that has DRG code 690. So what we do is that we actually plot the DRGs and say, in your hospital, compared to the national average, what is the cost of treating at that particular DRG? And how many cases you have actually treated in your hospital? Are you above the national average or below the national average? And we also apply the machine learning and AI to predict potential earning. And this potential earning is basically for each DRG. Like if you optimize your treatment within the hospital, this is the saving or earning you can have. And how does that get calculated? So we predict how many cases that hospital will have for this DRG in a year. We also predict the length of a stay in the hospital, and we predict the readmit rate. How many people will actually, or how many cases will be readmitted within 30 days and so on. Based on that, now when you click on a specific DRG, it shows who are the doctors who treated this patient DRG, how many cases that we predict for that doctor, and what is the earning potential per case from that doctor. In other words, what is the yearly earning potential? And this doctor, if I click, I can see that this doctor did a lot of labs, procedure, and all that for treating this particular DRG. And what was the hospital cost and what was the provider cost? Of course, lab, let's say hospital median is 6 and this provider was doing $760. That means this doctor is definitely prescribing some labs which are more expensive. Can we cut down that and make it close to the national or hospital average? There is definitely a scope for improvement. And based on that, we actually go through each one of those services the doctor do and which area we actually optimize, we compute that. And we also show them that when you optimize, then this is the actually optimization that you can achieve per year from that particular doctor. And this is historical, not future. This is future. And also we show that out of these many cases the doctor has seen, in 28 cases, he is within the average. In 52 cases, he is above the average. His cost, in other words, his average cost is above the average. So definitely you have a lot of room for improvement. And if you improve that, the cost of treatment will go down. Now, if you do further analysis here, you will see that this particular doctor, in this case, Dr. John Smith, this particular doctor, when he treated 2,002 treated patient and the cost of treatment was between $2,000 to $3,000, his number of labs, different types of labs that he did, we can compare those labs with the hospital average. And then we can see that if he is doing services more than $5,000, he is prescribing more labs. In other words, the ratio of his lab prescription is more compared to the average. That means he is actually, when his services get expensive, he actually prescribes more labs. And we can go into the medication, we can go into the procedure and all that. So it's just a sample here. Now, there may be case that this doctor is a very specialized doctor. He treats only some specific type of patient, and there may not be any room for improvement. This might be the case. So we actually go and find out who are those patients that this doctor treated, and are they really a special case or average case? So we can look at their, comorbid conditions as well. So basically, to do these kind of analysis, the data set that we need is from their electronic health record, their claims data. That means the insurance claim data. And in the US, there is a government data that is available that actually provides nationwide average and all that from CMS. I'm sure that's available in other countries as well. So that was actually DRG. And since we are going very rapidly, I would like to pause here and see if you have any question. Actually, two things that we saw so far. We saw the prior authorization and the DRG analysis. Let's see if you have any question before we go into the next one.
I think so far it's okay.
Great.
Yeah, I think we can.
Perfect. So we can move forward. Thank you. So next thing is that a patient comes into the hospital. Can we profile that patient? Much like, marketers actually profile their customers, and the terminology they use is 360-degree view of the customer. Can we do similar things in patient? The answer is sure we can. So here is how we do it. We take the clinical data, family and social history, lifestyle data, diagnostics and images, pathological lab reports, and billing and claims data. So basically, Momentum has capability to ingest all these data sets, and we build a big data lake. Now, this data lake, based on this, we actually calculate something called Framingham Risk Score. This is a very old and the oldest heart study done in the US, used pretty much all cardiologists in the world. And this is actually, they have certain calculations for which you can actually calculate the risk for congestive heart failure, for cardiovascular disease, coronary artery disease, stroke, hypertension, and diabetes. When you do these, we can compute these actually scores. We compute some comorbidity indices, such as CCI means Charlson Comorbidity Index, and so on and so forth. So basically, we calculate these comorbidity indices. We combine these two, some data from the data lake, apply artificial intelligence, and do a complete risk assessment scoring of the patient. This helps clinicians and doctors to actually design their treatment plan. We have developed actually some mobile app as well that is already there on Apple Store and Google Play Store, basically to do the Framingham Risk Score. Multiple types of risk. I will not go into that. This is more for technical people or basically medical people. So I'll just skip that. So basically, again, I'm sure you guys already have this slide that talks about our customers. And this is something that has as a summary that Accure has extensive experience in healthcare, compliance and standards. Momentum is ready to use AI platform equipped with a healthcare specialized features. And again, this is just for you guys to mention that we are really looking forward to work with the Health Board of Singapore. So that's basically it. And there are some dashboards and backup slides that has, like, here is KPIs to actually, every hospital manages KPIs. So these are very standard and most hospitals have it, or if they have the data, we can definitely build it. DRG, we already talked about that. Analysis of resources used for treatment, like what kind of resources you use, like how much ward cost, how many times you use for what particular treatment and all that, what kind of anesthesia you do, what kind of theater you use, and so many, so pathology, laboratory, whatever resources that it's basically an analysis of each and every resources that a hospital uses for treatment. This is actually just an analysis of cost by clinicians per episode. So basically for each episode where the majority of cost is. And so this is, again, hospital readmission reduction program, because in the US, at least every hospital has this program, and they want to analyze that how much, how much penalty they are incurring, and can we predict any penalty that the hospital will actually incur due to readmission. And so that this is complete analysis of readmission within 30 days, 90 days, and so on and so forth. Pretty much same thing with different locations and geographies. We'll skip these things very quickly. And order analysis. This is again the dashboard that we have for a very specialized analytics tool that we have called iRheum, which is for rheumatoid arthritis. And just some screenshots to see, how many patients' conditions are improving or worsening, and so on and so forth. There are several quality measures that we calculate, like how many patients were given a particular type of drugs, how many patients are actually given a certain treatment plan, and so on and so forth. So we can compute all those. They're called quality measures, and every hospital needs that. And especially it's of greater interest to the government, because in the US, government actually requires every physician to report certain quality measures. There are hundreds of quality measures. Every physician has to actually report every year, once a year. And government actually wants that, to actually analyze the health conditions of the civilian. And just medication related, how much, basically different disease activity level, how that actually gets controlled by providing what kind of medication, so you can actually assess that. So some of the, very clear use cases. So these are backup slides. I know you will not have enough time. And these are basically the link to the Fast Company magazine, where they, mention our work. This is the all the patents and their patent number, just to actually establish the credibility if you need to. So I'll just stop here, and that's all I thought. I'll just give a very broad picture, a big picture, so that you have at least the background with this slide, and based on that, whatever information you can extract, that will be, something that you can present. And feel free to ask question, and not just today, but when you go through the slide, if you have a brainstorming session, if you want me to come and be part of that, I'll be very happy to. But let's build a very crisp message and very specialized healthcare message to the health board, and let's win them.
Okay, sure. I think everything can be of value add to healthcare, but in such a short period of time, actually, what are the core things that you think are the most important in all the slides that you showed me just now, that I can just present that and will send a strong message over to the health board, saying that we are a strong, Momentum is a strong system that they can use.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but within all the slides, which one is it that you think would be the best for me to show? Because I don't really know what to pick up in such a short period of time, you see.
Right. Actually, this would be definitely a slide that whoever is evaluating anything from clinical or health IT perspective would appreciate this slide. Okay. This talks about Momentum as a specialized data analytics tool for data analytics platform for healthcare. these examples will certainly be of interest, that these are the work that we have actually done, delivered, people are using it in real life. So this actually establishes the credibility that we have done the real work. These slides that we have here, that prior authorization, especially this one, this would be of interest probably, that, this is really very critical for any hospital or even the, government to understand how much it is costing to treat what kind of disease. And so I believe this will be of great interest. This is particularly my favorite, that this actually has richness of data and looking at the patient from 360-degree angle. So I would say if you have to pick, slides, I would suggest that pick this slide, followed by this slide, followed by, this slide. Of course, you have to introduce what this actually means. This slide, and of course, this is my favorite slide.
Okay.
And rest are just examples.
Okay. Do you have any Singapore clients that can use this case now?
Unfortunately, no at this time. A Singapore client we have for other services, not healthcare. We did actually some work for a financial, client that does, stock portfolio analysis.
Okay.
But that's not help.
To share the name.
Could you repeat, please?
Are you comfortable to share the name of the client and roughly what they were looking for at the time?
Raza, sir?
Yeah, we can share. I'll just sync up with that person. Yeah. So S-Ray Capital, for which we have delivered, and they were interfacing with the actual customer in Singapore. So,
right. So we have the name of that customer here. See, S-Ray Capitals.
Okay. Okay. So what was this client looking for actually?
This client actually, we worked for S-Ray Capital. S-Ray Capital had another client. Yeah. We are completely unaware of that client because of all confidentiality and all that. What we did for S-Ray, that S-Ray's customer is actually a stock portfolio management company. And we basically pull the data from stock exchanges, Singapore Stock Exchange. And we, every day in the morning before the portfolio manager comes to the office, there is actually a report available that tells which stock to basically, or which asset to be actually, what's called, reweighed, or in other words, what's called the portfolio mix. What should be the weightage of different stocks within the portfolio to gain maximum return? So basically, we calculate or we readjust the stock portfolio, assets, or rather, we provide the information to readjust. And the information that we have and they've been using for almost like 3 years.
Yeah.
So since 3 years, they've been using and pretty successfully using. So that's a very good confidence that we have.
Okay, sure.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, I think it will be useful because they are quite they'll have more interest if we have worked with Singapore clients. So
perfect.
The industry.
Great. Any other question that I can take?
Yeah, so will any one of you be flying down on 23rd?
Do you prefer that we should